Kramer,
Here.
Lawrence,
Here.
Gilbert,
Here.
Hicks. Here. Krieger,
Here.
Pinkston,
Here.
Horak.
Yes.
We're all here tonight. Glad to have you back, Dr. Beeston.
Thank you. Good to be back.
We won't need a motion to excuse anyone tonight, so
Not tonight.
just move on.
Ken, if you want.
So do you have a motion to accept that he maybe join the council again?
I don't know, I'm up for re-election in 2 weeks. I might not get re-elected.
No, how about we just have the motion to approve the minutes of our October 8th meeting? And Mr. Porath, would you read that,
I
please?
move the Swartz Creek City Council approve the minutes of the regular council meeting held Monday, October 8th, 2018 to be circulated and placed on file.
Second.
The motion is made and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections to be made to the minutes? Seeing none, I ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hicks. Yes. Krieger,
Yes,
Pinkston,
Yes.
Horak,
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
motion passes. Our next item is the approval of the agenda tonight. Mr. Zell, are there any changes to that?
There was the packet supplement that was distributed Friday morning, I believe, related to 8002 Miller Road. That'll be business item 8G. Right. That's the only addition or change.
All right. And that is an addition. So, if you would read the motion then, Mr. Kramer, with the appropriate wording.
Will do. I move the Swartz Creek City Council approve the agenda as amended for regular council meeting October 22nd, 2018, be circulated and placed on file.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the agenda, and speaking to the motion. Madam Clerk, would you please call the motion?
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hicks. Yes. Krieger,
Yes.
Pinkston,
Yes.
Horak,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
That motion is approved. Moving on to the city manager's report. Anything additional other than the stuff that you sent us Friday morning?
One update regarding Metro Police Authority of Genesee County. Packet they have for this coming meeting, I distributed, and within that, there's a resolution looking to have prosecution services for the board looked at. Currently, the prosecutor for Metro PD is the city attorney, chosen by city council. When the interlocal agreement was established under the Urban Cooperation Act, which states that anything an independent municipality can do, they can do jointly with the creation of the interlocal agreement and the resulting authority, they're looking at prosecution services of their own. As they have Swartz Creek and Mundy now, and they're entertaining bringing Gaines Township into the fold, they're looking at uniform prosecution services that they control. They do pay the bills, they do have to work with the prosecutor or prosecutors, in this case, there's two right now, in the execution of all their functions through the court system. And so that's something that, while change may not be imminent, they want to have that discussion with the Police Authority Board to affirm whether or not they have the ability to choose that professional service or not. And so I did want to make council aware of that. That's something Metro PD will be looking at, and something I've discussed with the city attorney in the past. Because again, the one common line of reasoning is that again, anything an independent municipality can do on its own can be transferred to an authority conducting that service on behalf of multiple municipalities through the Cooperation Act. And so from that line of reasoning, it makes a lot of sense. On the other hand, we have provisions in our local charter and ordinance that say the city attorney is chosen by council and the city attorney shall be the prosecutor for the city. And so either way, I mean, we have opinions from attorneys that support both lines of thought. that prosecutor position is maintained by city council, or it's maintained by the authority board. So that's gonna be something we're gonna watch closely, and I encourage council members that aren't serving on Metro Police Authority Board to review some of those materials, attend the meeting if you can. Mr. Gilner's not with us tonight, but we do have representation from his office here if people have further questions about that. I do not expect any immediate or imminent change again in prosecution services conducted by Metro Police Authority. Does this whole concept make sense to folks?
It sounds like you're standardizing prosecution.
That's their goal, and Chief Bate can speak to that. Again, right now they have 2 prosecutors they're working with, and it's possible they could have 3 if they pick up Gaines Township, or 4 if another community becomes involved. And so what they're trying to do is define and make it very clear who procures that service, who pays for that service, and who's able to sort of supervise it. Is there detectives and staff that work with the prosecutors daily in conducting, again, their profession? They are, at this point, paying those bills, and so they want to make sure they can have a good relationship with those prosecutors moving forward, or prosecutor, firm, or individual, and that it's within all their other expectations of budget and ability. So let me know if you have any further questions here, or as this process continues through Metro Police Authority board meetings, see what we can do to provide more information. Chief Bay, do you have any comment on that?
Sure, I would just mention that there's a couple things at work here. In the interlocal agreement, as you're probably all aware, that agreement did vest the authority with responsibility for all prosecutions, both state law and local ordinances. The problem that we've realized is we have absolutely no budgetary control over that. That's one of the biggest issues, nor oversight, as Adam spoke to. We have 2 different prosecutors that handle cases very differently. One prosecutor tasks our staff with some of his work. And the revenue that's generated comes back to the authority from any kind of ordinance fines. It doesn't come close to paying for prosecutions. It's a fraction of that. And we feel that we can control those costs much more effectively by, through a professional service, contracting with a particular firm or prosecutor to do that for us. And again, have that oversight to make sure. And from a personal note, I've worked in this county for a long, long time, and I know what goes on down at the courts. And there's a lot of wheeling and dealing. I'm not saying that any attorney that services the authority or municipality does that at this time. I'm just saying that potential is there. And I really, what we've created here, and our intent is to further effective and meaningful prosecutions, to let people know when they come into the area where the Metro Police Authority is protecting those communities, that if they're arrested and prosecuted, they're going to be prosecuted. They're not going to get a backroom deal. That's our approach to it. Questions?
Just a comment, I mean, just by my own experience working for a law firm, I can appreciate relationship with a good, honest group of attorneys.
Well, let me just state, it's nothing unlawful going on or anything that we don't trust. It's just that chief does have to work with the prosecutor, and in some instances, different prosecutors have different ways of doing it. And I think he has to be comfortable with it so that he can have a consistent way of enforcing the laws, and that's all he's looking for. Plus, in addition to that, our costs on that are very high, and we're looking at least having a stated amount that we know that we can deal with, and that, because we're working on the budget right now. And I think that's one of the bigger things, more so than personalities even, so. And hopefully it'll work out well, so.
To that end, we have found on the police authority that there are some law firms that contract to do all prosecutions for us for a certain price rather than charge by the hour. And that's what he was saying about being able to control the cost. If you can find a company that'll contract by the year, and they'll do all the prosecutions for a set price, then we know what the price is gonna be going into that year. As long as we're dealing with somebody else who's just charging by the hour for how many hours he wants to put in, we got no control of that whatsoever.
Chief, why don't you address that, what you've done?
The mayor is absolutely correct, and that's what we've been dealing with since the inception of the authority. We have no control over those billable hours, and that's what we're facing. Our costs for prosecution, before taking away the ordinance fines, they've approached almost $60,000 a year, and I know that we can do a whole lot better than that. We can cut that in half, if not better. I have solicited, I've reached out to several reputable attorneys in the area based on recommendations given to me from people in the legal field, looking for some quotes. And I'm looking for, as the mayor pointed out, a flat rate, an annual rate, not billable hours. I've given them the amount of workload we have between Source Creek and Mundy Township, the number of misdemeanor warrants that our staff types up that go to court. I took numbers from the court and our in-house accounting and gave that to these attorneys to give them some idea of what their workload would be. And those quotes are beginning to come back to me, so that's what I'm looking for.
So look for that coming up at the Metro PD board meetings. Again, a very valid initiative, in my opinion. But it does impact the businesses that's delegated to that group, so.
I suppose, Mr. Zettel, the chief stated that if we're not 100% clear on what state law says we should do, that the city council here could hire the same attorney that you want to hire for the authority, and then we both approve the same person, and there's no question that that's where we're going.
True, and I guess I didn't add, maybe add it before I got in here. I did seek an opinion from Attorney Kevin Kilby, who has represented the authority and who drew up the interlocal agreement, just to make sure that we're on solid footing if we do this. And I just received that opinion back today, and he is of the opinion that this is something we can do based on the way the interlocal is formed and the Urban Cooperation Act. His opinion is, and his firm's opinion is, that we are okay to do this. I'd be glad to share that opinion with anybody who's interested.
So to be clear, McGraw-Morris is the firm that helped establish the authority, and a lot of what they're looking at is the Urban Cooperation Act and the impact it has on municipal charters and ordinances in terms of establishing a power structure or even organizational chart. And a good example is within our code, it indicates that the fire chief's appointed by the city manager. Well, that hasn't been that way for, I don't know how long, 50 years. A long time, and it's understood that while when Clayton Township and City of Swartz Creek can independently conduct fire services, but the Urban Cooperation allows those powers to be transferred to another entity, and that happened using that same act. And so the interpretation is that it was delegated authority through an enabling statute of the state of Michigan that allows that, and that applied to chief of police and the police services, and likewise is applied to prosecution services. So common sense, to me, dictates that prosecution services should fall under Metro PD's purview. They pay the bills, they work with those consultants or staff, and they're trying to fit that into their organizational mission, their budget, and how they go and execute their service. So I think it's probably timely and due to be looked at. What service they choose to pick or go with is going to be something that would only be looked at formally by the board if in fact these findings stand that it's something they do have the right to do. So the point I'm trying to make in so many words is this isn't a new concept. Every time there's been a delegation of service provision powers through the Urban Cooperation Act, you have this superficial conflict with pre-existing statute or codes or ordinances, charter. But all the findings and interpretations have been that that's a valid delegation of municipal powers through the Urban Cooperation Act.
I would like to try and get us back to the report that he actually gave us. Any questions or comments on the city manager's report?
One more update, unrelated. The KFC is seeking their certificate of occupancy this week. They're working extremely quick on some last-minute punch list items that the city engineer is reviewing for the infrastructure that's placed in the right-of-way throughout the site, the last of the building and trade features that are permitted, and some of the zoning site features as well. They were hoping to actually get that certificate today. There's just no way. They were still working as we were out there trying to create a preliminary punch list. But it is possible they can get that with contingency or two tomorrow or Wednesday. So they're, contrary to how much site work has been going on, they're actually quite close to being finished, but there still are some non-essential features that are going to require follow-up. And we may seek sureties or performance bonds of some sort to make sure those items are addressed. And of course, included in that, since it's talked about a lot around the community, is this fence. They will be removing some amount of that fence once they feel they're comfortable with eliminating any glare that could be caused from the drive-through activities between Arby's and KFC. It was known during the site plan review process that it's a very tight site, it's very small. They don't have the ability to use natural screening between their curb and the lot line, so they have to use artificial screening, the fence, as opposed to arborvitae or some sort of other vegetation. And so they're aware of it, they will be looking at it, they'll look to improve it and reduce it, but they do want to make sure that it can accomplish some amount of headlamp screening that could be problematic. So that concludes that report on the KFC, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Fried chicken for everyone next meeting?
I drove by today and I didn't smell any chicken.
Not yet. Okay.
That's bad news.
All right. To his report with the addendums. Any questions, any comments? Would you please make a motion to accept the report?
I'll try to do that.
All right.
I move the Swartz Creek City Council accept the city manager's report as amended verbally regarding the police department and the KFC to report of October 22nd, 2018, including reports, communications to be circulated and placed on file.
Second. Motion's made and seconded to accept the report. Are there any questions or comments on the report?
This is the manager's report we're talking about.
That is correct.
I do have a question.
All right.
Mr. Zettel, how soon are they
Michigan
moving
woke
on
up
this
on
small
Sunday
cell?
atop the Big East Division standings all alone.
Is this something is that gonna happen this fall, is that?
I don't have a timeline, that's committee work can stall indefinitely. They will have to address this because it's gonna be used technology in the very near future. I don't know if they'll do that this fall or sometime in the next calendar year.
I mean, is that technology out there right now, and that we're not partaking of?
No, it's 5G, I'm sure it's being introduced and used in places.
In
It's not,
selected areas?
yeah, it's not essential, it's an emergent technology. I'm not an expert in it.
Right.
Verizon's planning on beta testing it next year.
Okay, fine, you're on that.
I do expect something in 6 months.
Anyone else? No one's asking for the floor, Madam Clerk, would you call roll?
Hicks,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Pinkston,
Yes.
Horath,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Florence,
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes. That motion passes. We'll open the meeting now to questions or comments about any of the item reports and communications that are in our packet that aren't going to be part of our business this evening. Anyone on council have any questions or comments on anything in there?
On what?
Anything that's not going to be part of the business this evening? The reports and the communications. No one's asking for the floor, then I will open the meeting up to general public for comments. Does anyone have any general comments for the council before we get into our business?
Stephen Long, 5356 Worcester. This is my friend from college, 30-some years. He's filming this for his public access TV channel, and I assume it's okay if everyone said it was, so I just thought I would let you know that why we're filming.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Any topics you got? Then we'll move on to business for the night. And the first item of business is 8A, Christmas event approval. Christmas event, Mrs. Hicks, would you read that?
Whereas the city of Swartz Creek issues street closure permits for the purposes of holding public events from time to time, and whereas the GFWC, Swartz Creek Women's Club, has submitted an application for such a street closure for the purposes of hosting an annual Christmas event in downtown Swartz Creek centered at Holland Square, 5012 Holland Drive, and whereas the chief of police finds the application satisfactory and the city council finds the time, place, and manner of the event to be conducive to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of Swartz Creek accept the chief of police's recommendation and approve the Swartz Creek Women's Club street usage application to hold an annual Christmas event on Friday, November 30th, 2018, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Stipulations and conditions as set forth in the application packet, a copy of which is attached hereto under the direction and control of the office of the chief of police.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Police Chief Page, would you explain why we have to approve this, subject to your recommendation and approval?
I believe that entails a parade and some street closures, I'm not correct?
Street closures.
Yes.
Street closure of Holland Drive, I believe, is the only street that's going to be closed.
Okay, yep, that'd be it, just street closures, maintain the safety of the residents.
All right. Not a really big deal. It's a one-way street that doesn't get a whole lot of traffic anyhow. Any comments, questions, speaking to the motion? No, Madam Clerk, would you call the motion, please?
Krieger,
Yes.
Kingston,
Yes.
Borat,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
That motion passes. Moving on to 8B. Mr. Gilbert, would you read that resolution about approving the street usage permit for Family Fun Night?
Yes, sir. Whereas the city of Swartz Creek issues street closure permits for the purposes of holding public events from time to time. Whereas the Swartz Creek Area Chamber of Commerce has submitted application for such a street closure for the purpose of hosting an annual Fall Family Fun Night event in downtown Swartz Creek, centered at Holland Square, 5012 Holland Drive. And whereas the chief of police finds the application satisfactory and the city council finds the time, place, and manner of the event to be conducive to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of Swartz Creek accept the chief of police recommendation and approve the Swartz Creek Area Chamber of Commerce street usage application to hold an annual Fall Family Fun Night on Friday, October 26th, 2018, from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Stipulations and conditions as set forth in the application packet, a copy of which is attached hereto, under the direction and control of the Office of the Chief of Police.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. This deals with the same street, Holland Drive, the same square, Holland Square. Two events held at the same place, different dates. Yes, sir.
Mayor, it will involve some closure to Fortino Drive as well, Fortino and Civic. We had a meeting last week. We're a little concerned about the number of people that are anticipated to attend this event. We're going to have trick-or-treaters on Miller Road, crossing Miller Road during a high traffic volume time. And we thought it beneficial to shut down Fortino at Miller Road and just south of the bank driveway to allow the bank to remain open, to give us a little bit of a staging area for pedestrians that will be crossing back and forth. and then Civic Drive as well, because the food trucks and I guess Linnea can chime in here as well. The food trucks and other things will be back in the area. We won't want any traffic.
Correct.
Thank you.
You want half of Civic Drive.
Which half?
Do we anticipate having like crossing guards or anything on the road?
Yes, the Metro PD will be handling crossing pedestrians crossing the road. And I know that when this initially started, we weren't sure this was going to go, and Linnea has communicated to me that the response has been overwhelming for the trunk or treat. So if it's good weather, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of people downtown, a lot of kids.
Very good, thank you.
So council's aware, it's going to be a home football night, which wasn't anticipated. We're not trying to be smart out. Football team's done a great job. They have a home playoff game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I'm guessing, 7 o'clock this Friday, right around the mid to end of this event. And so this Friday's going to be very busy. We're putting a lot of resources into keeping people safe. What started off as a new event that the chamber was hosting, just to see how a late fall event could work for various reasons. It's a good thing that it's provided the challenge of being a bit overwhelming. And we had that home football game to it, a playoff event, and bear with us as we go through this first annual event, prioritizing safety. Hopefully a lot of good things come out of it, but there's going to be a lot of activity downtown, and working with, again, some of these impromptu street closures, just to make sure it functions well. So it'll improve in the future.
It usually does when we have some experience under our belt. Yes, sir.
And I know you guys did due diligence looking at this, but do you think maybe it's necessary to close Miller Road if you're gonna have that kind of foot traffic back and forth? I mean, that's a bad time of day and it's a lot of people. You guys have talked about it, so I guess I just wanna know what your thoughts were.
I'll respond. We talked about different things. You know, I guess my suggestion is in the future, if we have that many people at Holland Square, maybe if we have sizable crowds and pedestrian traffic becomes an issue, maybe the trunk or treat is moved closer to the rest of the event. I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. I did not know it was a home football game, which will complicate things a little bit.
I think that just got announced like Saturday or Sunday,
So it's, yeah, it'd be a.
I mean, do you feel comfortable with the situation? To me, it looks a little dicey.
I mean, I'm not gonna stand here and say I'm not comfortable. My officer will do a good
You
job.
wouldn't
I'm
do
sure
that?
safety will be preserved. But, you know, this will be a learning curve for us to see what kind of response we have and, you know, moving forward, what we need to, how we approach it next year.
Yeah.
I mean, they were expecting to get maybe 100 kids over 2 or 3
I know.
hours, and now it might be that way. But just the anecdotal participation we're getting from the vendors and everyone else indicates it's going to be substantially bigger. And so this might be overkill with some of the precautions that are being taken for the escorts across the road and the closing of these streets.
Well, the worst traffic from the game will be after the game,
Correct.
than before the game, because that all come in at different times, but, wow.
And this will be well done and packed up before the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Okay, just thought I'd. We still have time to change, don't we?
And of course, the police department does have the ability to make adjustments.
Sure.
If it warranted it at the scene and based on circumstances. So this pre-approves the event as applied for with these 2 additions. But if something happened, obviously they can cordon off traffic and reroute people. But they don't want to make this inconvenient for the rest of the universe that's functioning on a Friday night. Again, priority is keep
Well, we
it.
do it every year, though.
It says annual in front of it, so it's going to have to.
And that road isn't that bad, isn't that far, whatever, it's okay, I just.
Chief Beatty, when you're a school resource officer, to expect 100 or 200 kids on a big sugar high down there.
Yeah. They're already gonna be on cloud 9 with the first playoff game with home field advantage.
Right.
They're playing a team that's been there 23 times and been runner-up 3 times too.
Oh, really?
That's not very good. This was only their second time they've ever made the playoffs.
Too bad they were successful, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, I believe that concludes our discussion. Where are we at here? We're ready to call the motion. Let's do that.
Ingston,
Yes.
Borat,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Krieger.
Yes, that motion passes. Moving on, Dr. Kingston, horse race support.
I get the best one. Resolution to approve letters of support for thoroughbred racing at the Sports Creek Raceway. Whereas the Sports Creek Raceway has been an integral part of the Sports Creek community for over 30 years, and whereas the raceway ceased operation on December 31st, 2014, and whereas the city and community have been actively engaged in seeking to find a buyer that can use the existing site or repurpose the site for economically viable purpose that aligns with the city's quality of life goals. And whereas the unique facility has not had a viable buyer for nearly 4 years and is showing signs of deterioration, and whereas the state of Michigan has experienced a total elimination of the harness racing industry, but is considering legislation to make thoroughbred racing viable, and whereas there is now a prospective buyer of the raceway that has identified themselves as Am Race and Sports LLC that is seeking live race dates from the Michigan Gaming Control Board for 2019. And whereas Am Race and Sports LLC is seeking letters for support that indicate a willingness on behalf of the city to cooperate on the reuse of the site for thoroughbred racing and related facility improvements. And whereas the Sports Creek City Council finds that the transfer and use of the Sports Creek Raceway for thoroughbred racing is a desirable use. Now, therefore be resolved that the Sports Creek City Council hereby directs the city manager to release letters of support as included in the city council packet of October 22nd, 2018.
Second. That motion is made and supported. Mr. Zell, any updates on this?
No updates.
All right.
I mean, last I had heard, there was not a executed purchase agreement in place, which would be the step prior to an actual closing and transfer of the real estate. But the group that has identified themselves as listed is working towards that end, and is confident that they will be able to successfully close on this sometime this calendar year. Much of that is contingent upon the Gaming Control Board issuing live race dates for 2019. So our part in this is with one letter indicating that we'll assist them in reviewing, analyzing the facility for deficiencies or needs for improvement in code compliance, and to that end, working with them on solutions and eventual approvals if required. And then the other is a letter of support for reuse of the facility as it exists, with some modifications to be able to continue horse racing in some form, in this case thoroughbred racing. Gaming Control Board is not going to waste time on examining somebody for live race days if the host municipality doesn't want to see that facility put to use. So the resolution's obviously written in the affirmative. I'll answer any other questions if there are any.
We have the letters of support in our packet. Hopefully we've all read them, know exactly what Mr. Zilla has written, so this is just a key to sending them out tomorrow.
Question.
Yes, sir. Bora.
Was this conditional on we had to, did the Michigan Gaming Commission ask for this letter from the city of Sports Creek, or is this just because of to show our interest with the prospective buyers?
The letters will be forwarded to the Michigan Gaming Control Board. They're requested by Am Race and Sports LLC. And addressed to them.
Okay. So it wasn't the gaming commission that actually asked for that?
They've requested them of the prospective buyer.
I got you. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
it does.
in a roundabout way, that's where they're going, though.
Okay. That's what I was wondering why it was addressed to Mr. Schaefer. That's why I was asking. Okay, thank you.
Kramer.
Two questions.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other municipality in the state of Michigan that has done this? Brought back harness or thoroughbred racing in its community?
From a closed racetrack?
Right, from a closed racetrack.
Yes.
What do you, say that again?
Is there any other municipality in the state of Michigan that is going through the motions or has went through the motions to open up, reopen its racetrack, its thoroughbred racetrack or harness racing? The reason why I ask the question is we're breaking new ground here. This is kind of a,
How do we break the new ground?
because the trend of racing has left, and now it appears it's trying to come back. I mean that in a positive way for both the state and this community.
Well, the company, Amrace, is a huge conglomerate. They're based in Kentucky, and they're a simulcasting company. This isn't their first racetrack that they're involved in. They got them all over the country, so they're, I mean, if they're coming into the area, they aren't coming in here to lose money. They've got to have done some research to think that this area is going to support simulcasting. And they can't get simulcasting unless you got 30 days of live racing. So they put in for the minimum race dates just to get their feet on the ground. They probably know that piece of property is going to be worth more than what they paid for it once it opens up.
Dr. Pink, you're not aware of any other tracks that are gonna be hosting harness
No,
live racing? I mean, that's gone.
there's no
Right.
tracks left. Northville has sold out. They're gonna, it was worth so much money that they're gonna develop it. They've said they'd like to open up again next year, but, man, I'll tell you
Now,
what.
wait a second,
To build a
they
new
did promise
facility.
that.
Huh?
They did promise that, but.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah, I
not
know.
Carlo.
I know.
He's not gonna do it. It would cost way too much money to build a new track today to support live racing, thoroughbred or harness racing. This is the only chance they've got, an existing racetrack, and this is it. All the other ones have been torn down.
I think that's what Councilmember Kramer was getting at, is that this is probably the one shot for any sort of live racing,
Right.
and
They're gone.
pari-mutuel betting, or whatever you wanna call it, in the state.
Jackson's been destroyed, Saginaw's gone, Hazel Park, they closed this year, they're tearing that down and gonna build, they're gone.
Pinnacle track is still there. The Pinnacle track is still there.
Well, it's there, but it's. If they were interested in that, they'd been down there. They had 20 million in that racetrack and it went under.
And Dr. Binks, if you'd be so good, you're kind of a resident expert, can you explain what practical differences, if any, there would be between an existing harness facility and thoroughbred racing? Impact on the facility or the community?
Harness horses race over a hard track because of the buggies. Thoroughbreds like to race on a sand track. But Hazel Park, back in the glory days, they'd race on Saturday night, harness racing, and on Sunday they'd race thoroughbreds. Over 1 day period, they could change the surface of the track. This one's gonna create a little more problem because it's banked, and harness horses love it. The only thoroughbred track I know that's banked is Mohawk up in south of Toronto. And so I don't know if they'd be willing to do that without cutting into it, but that's not a big deal to change it. The chute on the west end, the land was already laid out so they would start way down on the end and then come around the track once and end right in front of the grandstands, and that'd be their mile. That's what Hazel Park did.
I mean, impact on the community, some people could see this as a change in their function. In your opinion, would there be any appreciable difference
No,
to a resident or
No.
business?
wouldn't make any difference at all. Thoroughbred horses normally don't like to ship in, but that's really changed over the last 8 or 10 years. They'd rather be on a farm, like the harness horses, and train on their own facility and then ship in on race day. So I know they do that in Ohio all the time now. They ship in, so the little farms in the area that had training facilities would probably be viable again. The farmers would be selling straw and hay, and the dealers would be selling trucks. The whole area would revitalize, not as much as if when we raced 120 days. I mean, that was really something. And whether these people would ever want to expand that, or if they're just interested in the simulcasting, you aren't going to know until it's up and running. They say they'd like to welcome all the harness people back into the area, but after they've left the state, it's hard to believe they're going to come back into Michigan and any huge numbers, but there's still a lot of them left that are racing out of state.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Pinkston, do you know, normally, well, I didn't know that many ship-ins that was the trend that they were going towards. But what about all the people and the jocks and everything else? Because they used to stay right on the Hazel Park track.
They did at Hazel Park, but they never did here.
No, I know. But what's the trend in other areas? You said in Ohio and Indiana. What are they doing? Are they still housing those people, or is that all?
They're all
is that
different.
all changed?
They're
now,
all
too?
different, as many as there is racetracks, Some do and some don't.
Okay. Because that could shift, the vacancies in this area.
On a 30-day meet, it's probably not gonna be a big deal. It's
Yeah.
not like when we had 120 racing days. I mean, that was.
Yeah, but you're talking 5.5 months. It's
they're
30
talking-
days,
they're
30-day meet,
talking,
but you're 5.5 months.
June,
into
July, and August.
Yeah,
Friday and
Or
Saturday
3.5
night
months.
only. That's what they were put in for.
so.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right now, we're just giving a letter of support for the whole thing. And from conversations we've been having ever since the racetrack closed, I think everybody's in support of getting it open again. All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Borat,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Florence,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes,
Krieger,
Yes,
Kingston.
Yes.
that motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Mr. Porat, and resolution to approve application to the traffic improvement program and related professional engineering services.
Whereas the city of Swartz Creek is a local governmental unit and recognized street authority eligible to receive funding from the Michigan Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway Administration. And whereas the city of Swartz Creek is a member of the Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Alliance, an urban transportation planning cooperative charged with allocating funds to eligible street authorities in Genesee County. And whereas the city of Swartz Creek has identified a need to make repairs and improvements to streets in its major street system, and has considered the making of such repairs and improvements in open session following the review of documents and the hearing of comments on the need from the city's engineer and staff, and desires to submit applications for such repairs and improvements to the Genesee County Metropolitan Alliance Traffic Improvement Program. And whereas the Genesee County Transportation Surface Management Committee will be creating a 2020 to 2023 Traffic Improvement Program, TIP, scheduled to be recommended to the Technical Advisory Committee that ranks projects throughout the county, inclusive of projects submitted by the city. And whereas the city's pre-qualified engineers cannot make application to the TIP without creating a potential conflict of interest as it relates to any future design and/or construction engineering needs for TIP projects. And whereas after review, the city has determined that the following streets in its major street category are in need of and meet the criteria for repair: Miller Road, Moorish to North Seymour; Seymour, Miller to South City limits; Moorish, Bristol to Miller Road. Now therefore be resolved that the city of Swartz Creek submit applications for the repair of said streets to the Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Organization. Be it further resolved that the city designates source funding for all construction local match, design engineering, and construction engineering fees from Major Streets Funds 202 And further, direct the city staff to create the necessary additions to the city's accounting system upon award. Be it further resolved that the city of Swartz Creek appropriate an amount not to exceed $6,900 to Johnson and Anderson Incorporated for engineering fees associated with the preparation of street repair funding applications for the 2020-2023 TIP program. Funds to be appropriated from 202 major streets, and further direct the mayor to execute the agreement as included in the city council packet of October 22nd, 2018.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any speaking to this motion? None. Madam Clerk, would you call the motion, please?
Kramer?
Yes.
Florence?
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Krieger?
Yes.
Pinkston?
Yes.
Horrick?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to resolution number 8E, a resolution extending the unit prices for sewer inspection and lining projects. Mr. Kramer, would you read that motion, please?
My honor. Whereas the city selected Liquid Force Services USA Incorporated to perform certain sewer inspections and repairs in December 2008, and whereas Liquid Force Services Incorporated was selected based upon a competitive request for proposal process that included fixed unit costs for services, whereas the scope of work was to span 4 years and terminate in December 2012, but circumstances resulted in the delay of specific work items, and whereas Liquid Force and the city have previously agreed to extend the unit costs through June of 2019 for the purpose of completing work on the sanitary sewer system, and whereas Liquid Force has offered to further extend their unit costs through June 30th of 2021, and whereas the city finds the value and quality and predictability of the pricing for such services to be beneficial to the city. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the city of Swartz Creek hereby approves the extension of the unit costs and service affiliation included over applicable terms and conditions of the original agreement for service with Liquid Force Services USA Incorporated, and said pricing to be valid through June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any comments or questions regarding this motion? Yes, sir, Mr. Porter.
Just a couple things. Why wasn't this completed by 2012? And
All that work was completed.
I know, but we expanded the work because of why?
It's part of the ongoing 20-year sewer rehabilitation plan. So 2012 was 2 years before I got here, but I think there were some economic and other practical hardships that delayed the 2008 to 2012 work 1 or 2 years.
2 years.
And then after that time, obviously we weren't anywhere near close to finishing the 20-year sewer rehabilitation plan. And so upon completion of the initial scope, they were tentatively able to keep their unit costs at a hold level. And we've continued on in 1-year increments since that time.
I just thought it was important that a little history on it because, you know, this has been an ongoing project for quite a few years, and it's a lot more years to go yet. But looking at it, how far are we in the process? Are we halfway through?
Not quite halfway. We're pretty much completing the Winchester Village area. We will be moving into some areas into the old part of town and then progressively trying to look into every sewer in the city. And most of them will be at that 25, 30-year age already, where that one is at 50 years. So,
I mean, does the whole city have to be
we're close
completed?
to halfway through the city.
But
The
the whole
newer
city-
subdivisions won't need the attention to the RTDC pipe, a lot different, especially at the time. They will be looked at, but they won't need relining at this point, so we're close.
And so as far as addressing known issues, most of the clay, 85–90% of the clay sewer collection lines have been relined. And that's most of our problem with inflow, infiltration, and possible collapses, blockages, and all those issues we've had in the Winchester Village subdivision. By the time we hit midway through the next decade, we'll be looking at sewer that's mostly PVC. which we do expect, as Mr. Burchak indicated, to inspect. Note is good to excellent condition, those are 100-year pipes, and then we move on with our lives. And so most of the work we're doing now, we know when we get into televising a clay line like Gerwood, that we're gonna be relining it. We know that because of its age and composition. And so each year we set aside $180,000 to $220,000 for relining purposes. And I guess to your point, as far as the workload, sometime in the next 7 to 10 years, we'll probably be out of relining projects and be looking at more routine inspections and possible ongoing work on things like manholes.
But it was a commitment we knew it was gonna take a while, and I'm glad we're going to see the end here.
I think because Winchester Village is mostly complete, including the woods portion now, a lot of that is done, not most of it. A lot of most of our issues are being addressed. And as it happens with the biggest interceptor level line that's on the other side of Winshaw by the park, that was televised, and despite being clay, it's actually in fantastic condition. So I suspect we will look to reline it, but it's not nearly compromised as we thought it could have been just by virtue of its age.
Does Liquid Force hang on to PVC pipe?
It makes it a PVC pipe. I would just add one thing, hopefully during the winter, as we progress a little bit further into it, we're gonna have a presentation showing you some of the work that has been accomplished. We have some mapping that we're doing, so we know where we're at, you know, the progression of this. In Winchester Village, remember, these are all rear yard sewers. I mean, it's between the houses, and it's really been difficult and very time consuming to get to those. And it has benefited the city greatly with fewer plugs in our main line.
This has been a godsend. This
Let me tell you, when we had the last one, we had to go 20 foot deep next to a house or a garage to repair a gas pipe, and we couldn't reline it. I'm gonna tell you what, that is one heck of a challenge to find a contractor that would work in a 15 to 20 foot easement between garages. I mean, it's something you just, a specialty to do. And we've been fortunate enough by relining it to take care of the problems in our line. We're, like Adam said, we'll be working on the manholes. We've redone some chimneys as the top part of them in the thing, so we can reduce our amount of infiltration, which is a benefit to the residents because it saves you money on treatment somewhere along the line.
If you
It's been a heck of a process.
When we ran into that problem, we actually approved tearing down the garage and rebuilding it again after we fixed it. But we didn't have to do it because we found somebody that would work with it and got it done without tearing it down.
Yeah, if relining technology didn't exist, we probably would be abandoning the rear yard sewers and spending untold millions to put a new public system in the street right away. I mean, this is a home run for technology.
This is a godsend. It really was.
If it's why they put it in the backyard is clay tile. Can't do anything about it.
But that's beside the point because our resolution here is about the price and not the actual work that's going to be done. That's the next resolution. And I am very impressed that after 10 years into this project, we still have the same price they bid us 10 years ago. Not a dime more, so it's great.
So they overcharged us originally or undercharged us now?
Yes. That's a good question. It's been asked of the gentleman that presents this.
I think the experts have already crushed the numbers.
Anyone else wish to speak to the motion? All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the motion, please?
Florence,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Hingston,
Yes.
Horak,
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
The motion passes. Moving on to 8F, resolution to approve this year, or next year's 2018-2019 sewer lining project. And that will be Mrs. Florence. Would you read that, please?
Whereas the city selected Liquid Force Services USA Incorporated to perform certain sewer inspections and repairs in 2008 based upon competitive request for proposal process that included fixed unit costs and services, and whereas based upon the quality and reliability of the work performed, Liquid Force has remained the city's contractor for these specialized services past the original 2012 term of the contract, and whereas Liquid Force has agreed to extend their unit cost through June of 2021 for the purpose of completing work in the sanitary sewer system, and whereas the city council agreed to extend said units, prices, and their regular meeting, at their regular meeting on October 22nd, 2018, and whereas additional sewer rehabilitation work has been identified by staff and the city engineer based on 2017 and 18 inspections and consultation with the 20-year sewer plan. Now therefore be it resolved, the city of Swartz Creek hereby approves their proposal of associated unit cost in part to perform rehabilitation of the sanitary sewer system as outlined for Chelmsford and Chesterfield, Chelmsford to Durant, Durwood to Interceptor, and School Street, as well as video services for Fairchild and other connectors as outlined on the updated proposal dated October 17, 2018, in the amount of $197,722 plus a 10% contingency, funds to be appropriated by the Sewer 591 Fund.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any speaking to this motion? No one's asking for the floor. Madam Clerk, did you call the roll?
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Krieger, Pinkston,
Yes.
Borat,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
That motion passes. That concludes the business in our packet. We move on to
No, you got this. Big T.
yes. Do you have that?
Yes.
All right, would you please read that?
This is a resolution to approve the release of bid documents for 8002 Miller Road. Whereas the city has acquired a commercial structure located at 8002 Miller Road, parcel ID number 58-35-576-049, that is in need of repairs and improvement, and whereas the structure is occupied by an existing business that leases the bottom floor for retail space, and whereas the council found that it is in the best interest of the economic viability of the structure and surrounding neighborhood to improve the function of the building for the existing retail use and upper floor residential use, and whereas the council approved professional services to provide advice and to formalize specifications for the renovation of such structure, and those specifications are now complete. Now be it resolved, the Swartz Creek City Council hereby directs staff to release the bid specifications for 8002 Miller Road and bring the results back to the City Council with a recommendation.
Second. Motion is made and seconded. That was quite a list of things in the improvement plan that you sent us.
Oh, the bid specifications?
Yes,
Pretty intense.
indeed they were. And it's going to pretty much totally gut and restore the upstairs apartment there. Any speaking to the motion? No, all right. Madam Clerk, would you call the motion?
Hicks,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Pinkston,
Yes.
Borat,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Yeah, motion passes. That concludes our business. Mr. Zettel, I should have asked you to do this before our meeting tonight. Do you have a final tally on the project that we did on the house that we sold at the last meeting? As far as the finances? I know we sold it for $184,900. Did that cover all of our expenses?
Oh, yeah, it did. I don't have a final figure on what's being sent to the county treasurer.
But we did come out ahead and we're sending some money into it.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Did you say 184?
190.
190.
130.
134.9. 134.9.
Well, we still came out ahead, so that's good.
No real estate commission.
Hopefully, we're going to do the same on the new project that we just approved right now. Come out ahead on that and be able to return some money to the county treasurer also. All right, would you please, may I read this, we open the meeting again to the public. Anybody have anything to mention to us that you haven't already? Any reaction to our business tonight? It's awfully quiet out there. Okay, we'll move on to remarks by council members. And I'm going to start with Mr. Cora tonight.
Just a couple things. Don't forget to vote in a couple weeks. That's gonna be kind of important. There's gonna be a few changes on the city council. We'll see how that works. And we have an attorney present today, and it's kind of nice to have somebody come by and see us once in a while. You just couldn't wait to get here, could you?
Oh, billable hour. It's billable hour. That's why you hardly ever see it.
Is it because we don't treat you right, or what? What did he say?
It's gonna be a flat fee.
And I hope that the turnout next week will be, for this week, actually, isn't it, right? Yeah, this week. It should be fun, and I hope that everything works out well, which it probably will, so I guess that's all I hear about it.
All right, and Mr. Corrad wants to remind everyone about the election because he's on the ballot.
Well, it's kind of an important election overall, even without Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I'd just like to say your vote counts. And I do have a question for the city manager. And I couldn't help but to notice the report you included, or the article you included, Crane's Detroit Business Report on consumers' energy. And my question is to you, do you see this as an alarming trend in our state?
I think the state has favored bigger utility providers over municipalities. Financially and through the regulatory process. And that's why we have a lot of these issues with stub bowls or redundant overhead wire infrastructure, the placement of streetlights. There's not a ton of accountability, in my opinion, through the Michigan Public Service Commission to see some of those services provided in an efficient manner. And but you still see targeted legislation on items such as this to reduce the burden on those utilities even further in the right of way. And so it's getting to a point, and that's what I indicated in the report, is on one hand, we're spending a lot more of our time and effort in our right of ways trying to deal with some of this compromised infrastructure, missing infrastructure, and building around it. I think we still, is that utility pole still in the middle of the driveway in Chesterfield?
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's 14 months ago, a project was completed, and we still have yet to relocate that utility pole. We don't, utility provider does. And so not only are we not getting the service, but it appears that the expense associated with utilities occupying that space, which they're doing so less than properly, in my opinion, is going to be reduced. So it's kind of coming at us on both sides now. The whole state has aging overhead infrastructure and underground infrastructure, not just water and sewer for municipalities, but gas lines, telecommunications, power. And it's causing us some issues, and we're seeing our ability to collect revenues to offset those issues reduced at the same time. So that's why I included it as somewhat alarming.
Yeah, it is. Thanks. I'm looking forward to trunk or treat, the 26th, and wishing everybody to have a great time. So that's all I have.
Mr. Gilbert, is that utility pole still in front of your house?
Yes. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, I still have it.
I saw it.
Is that for what they put that thing on it for?
Small cell legislation?
Yeah.
Maybe.
On my extra pole?
Maybe.
You can claim the pole and charge them yourself.
Can't believe it.
Mr. Flores.
Well, I think back to March 2nd, when Mike Shoemaker passed away. And a couple of weeks after that, I was asked if I would be willing to serve on the city council, and I said, yes, I would. And so I've done so. In November of 2016, I was elected to serve until now, and I've elected not to run for office again, so this should officially be my last night to serve as city council. I can only say good things about the council and the people who've been on it, and our ability to work together and not fight like a lot of councils do is throughout the country. If you've seen your TVs, they're pretty bad. I think this is one of the most efficient councils that I've ever seen, so it's been my pleasure to serve. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I apologize for failing to recognize that.
That's okay, I'll get over it.
All good people. This is it.
I just want to make sure everybody votes. What are the voting hours down there, Connie?
7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, I want to see everybody down there. We've got some important issues that we need to, everyone needs to cast their vote, and I hope to see you guys there.
All right.
Yeah,
Gilbert. Anything other than the pole in your front yard?
yes. Has anybody got a call from the security administration telling them their social security number has been suspended for some reason?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hang up
They
on
called me 5 times in one day. Except when it came across the TV, what it was. And then it left a message. And I knew security administration.
Sounds legit.
Huh?
Sounds legit.
Yeah, right. So anyway, I called your office. And I told the lady there about it, because it's a scam. And people have to know that.
I apparently owe a lot of student loans, so. I
Oh,
understand.
yeah,
I've been offered a lot of discounts on crutches and medication. Yeah.
but there's somebody out there all the time trying to scam somebody. Anyway, that's it.
The best thing you can do when they call you, ask for their name, birth date, and social security number.
It's a message. It's a message, you know, recorded message.
First phrase, don't hang up.
Yeah.
Dr. Pinkston, Mayor Pro Tem.
I hope the deal with the racetrack is not another smoking gun. We've been on so many ups and downs on that racetrack in the last 4 years. I hope finally something happens and somebody we can deal with. That'd be great.
Looking forward to some legitimate activity on that racetrack and people out there and something to go to on Friday and Saturday nights and
Bands on weekends.
I just want to inform you that when I win tomorrow night's Mega Ball, I won't forget you people.
Thank you, Tom.
I just want to let you know that I will donate a little bit of money. Very little.
You'd have a heart attack if you were.
No, I wouldn't. I work Wednesday morning with a smiling face.
You got the first flight out of Dodge.
Nah, I still got,
Come in and rub it in the next day.
I still got work to do. I don't know if I can live on that amount of money. I farm, remember, I can lose it.
I find it difficult, but.
Thank you for the vote of the sewer work and everything else. Really has been a benefit to the city. The company really enjoys working here because we allow them to do this work in the winter time because of the backyard situation. It works better for them. So they really do appreciate the fact that they go and it allows them to do some work at a site at a time when it's not very possible to market. They do appreciate it. They show.
I'm guessing then that they're working in other cities during the rest of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
And most of those are in the right of way, so when you start working in the right of way with snow plowing and stuff like that, it becomes an issue. For the backyards, it's a little bit easier for them, and their technology has changed over the years where they use steam now to put it in, so it's not like you use water like they used to. It's quite a process. they're now able to provide services to go up beats and stuff like that that we're working on, getting a decent price for them, so.
Very good. And I'd just like to thank Mr. Florence for being willing to serve with us. And also I'd like to thank everybody on the council for how well we do work together. Most all of the time when we have motions, it's unanimous vote. And it's not because we don't have differences of opinions, because we work together very well. And we're all looking out for the best interests of our community.
He's a scout and a gentleman.
And we look forward to a new person sitting in this chair at our next meeting. Don't know who that will be. We have a couple candidates out here who,
Best man win?
Is that?
anything else to get our votes?
Oh, yes.
On Tuesday.
Yes.
That's their question.
With that said, I will
I'll make the
propose.
motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
Yes.
Is there anyone that needs a break before we adjourn?